Have you ever thought about starting your own business, but you don't really have the right business partner and you don't know how to find the right business partner or whether you should actually do it on your own? Well, these are questions that I had in my head when I tried to start 2.5 businesses and totally failed because I thought I had to have the right business partner. And then I started my own business without a business partner. But today I'm here with Angela DiMarco and Dana Sardano, and
Yay!
they are the best business partners for each other, but they've also tried it on their own. So I'm super excited to have both of you here today to talk about finding the right business partner. So I'll leave the stage to you guys so that you can introduce yourselves a little bit.
Okay. Josephine, thank you. Love, 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 love the pink. It's my favorite. So I'm Angela DiMarco, and I am the co-founder of uniquelyphenom.com. It didn't start out with Dana and I as partners. It actually was, I was doing my own thing, and Dana was my encourager. She became my investor, and she became I'm not going to get involved. And then all of a sudden she's involved. And now we yada, 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 pivots later. We are 50-50 partners in everything that we do. It was definitely an evolution to get us to this point. So while I started finduniquelyu.com, that was the original business, and Dana was encouraging me, and I left my job, and that became my thing. Dana she had a gallery. So if you want to talk about what you were doing on the side until I dragged you over to my dark side.
Well, it's funny because I wouldn't even call it on the side. I had my thing. I was just to give you a little bit of a backstory, I was an educator for a whole bunch of years. And in 2015, I figured out I could paint. And this story is for another day. But by 2015, I figured out I could paint. By 2017, I left my career and pursued life as an artist. And by 2019, I opened this gallery. So it's an art gallery and intuitive lounge. So there's just a lot of creativity, a lot of spirituality and all of that stuff going on. And so that was 2019 in my heyday, 2020, totally crushing it. Angela shows up. Angela, we connected. Yeah, hey, we connected through social media and for a completely different reason. Like she wanted to commission me to do a painting, but we're old sorority sisters. We know each other back from 1992. Lost contact over a bunch of years. Reconnected over Facebook, but nothing major. She commissions me to do this painting. And I also do intuitive guidance. And in the midst of this relationship, as we were doing the painting and, discussing it. And, again, there's conversation involved. We do this intuitive guidance session, and she had this amazing idea for an online platform that's pivoted several times since, but she had this amazing idea. And of course, I'm like, do it, do it. And our relationship just evolved from there. We reconnected like we had never lost touch, even like 2.0, even more powerful. And like she said, I was the guy behind the curtain. I was like, yeah, do this, that, and the other. And again, totally financially backed her. And I didn't want any part of it. I'm like, I don't want any part of the operations. And next thing you know, she's like, I need somebody with an educational background. I'm like, okay, I'll just do that. And then my husband also, she's like, I need a tech guy. And my husband's like, I don't work for you, Angela. I'm like, you're getting checks in the mail. You know that, right? So Angela's sort of like, calmed us into this. But what happened this is 2 years. We're pushing 3 years from the inception of the conversation, right?
Absolutely.
So the first year was conversation and making it happen. The second year, it was launched, what we initially did, and trying to make it work. And now we're in the third year of pivot, and we are in a really, really good place and where we want to be. But the nature of our relationship is why we're still in a relationship, right?
Yeah. And what I hear is, which I think is super interesting, is because when we started, and I don't know if you did this, but when I had these discussions with my back then business partners, we were so stuck in this SWOT analysis. We were like, we need to figure out the strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats of our potential businesses back then, that we didn't even dare to start figuring out. When I hear you guys, how you have kind of pivoted throughout these years, a little bit like intuitively, probably,
Yeah.
I would say. And instead of really saying, oh, we need to have everything figured out first, because then that's when we are get stuck in analysis paralysis, right? We need to move
Analysis
into test it all out. Is that how you would experience it too?
You know, it's so funny, Josephine. I went through an accelerator program, and that was probably where the biggest pivot came from, because I had to do all of that stuff. Everything, Dana and I are like, let's just cook some spaghetti, let's throw it over the wall. Oh, that didn't stick. Let's make another pot, throw it over here. And it is a lot of going with our gut. And we both
Yeah.
have the same, I mean, we have always had the same underlying vision and mission and how to treat people and who we want to work with. Like that has been the same constant throughout. The business model shifted and evolved, not because of metrics and KPIs and testing and, you know, analysis paralysis, as you say. I love that. But it was really about gut checks. It was like, this doesn't feel good anymore. That feels really good. The spaghetti's kind of sticking. Let's go in that direction. And it's been very much more about that. So I come from a marketing and branding background. I've been doing it for almost 30 years, and I had my own agencies. And the first one I started was with a partner who was a copywriter. And then I was everything else. I was the design, the business, everything, right? And so he would sit around and write a couple lines, and I'd be doing everything, you know? So that didn't work out. And then the second one I started.
We could tell when he sat there and wrote a couple of lines, like, I did everything else.
I'm like making calls and designing and doing oh my God.
Yeah.
And then stupidly, I was like, let me start another business with this other guy who was an art director who did exactly what I did.
Oh.
That didn't work out either. And then I started my own agency, which was Thirsty Creative Group. And so that kind of did its own thing. And that I swore off partners because I had such bad experiences. And that's why when Dana and I were going through, and she's like, listen, I want to give you my money and be a silent partner and be a cheerleader. I'm like, okay. Couldn't be more ideal. But now that we've evolved to where we are, I don't want to do this without her, because it's our baby. You know, it's evolved into a beautiful relationship that's much more than business partnership.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I always refer to the Venn diagram in a healthy relationship. You have the two circles that overlap, right? And where we are overlapped, like Angela said, we see the world in the same way. We want the same things. We want to collaborate with the same people. We have the same mission, the same vision. But where we're different, oh my God, we do this program that we call Core to Credo. And it's really about empowering companies, empowering organizations from the core, which is me. I'm all about the empowerment. I'm all about the root cause and digging in and figuring out what it is for the individual. And Angela's all about the credo, what's your mission, what's your vision, the everything about your culture on the outside. So we have this two-pronged approach from the core to the credo, but that's how we are as individuals. Angela, I heard you say it yesterday to somebody, we embody what we do. Yeah. And so I have learned, because I've always been like, I can do this myself, and I'm an island, and I got this. And there's only so far you can go, because I'm human. I don't have every single skill set. So we joke that I empower Angela to dream and to be and to go and to do, and she makes me look good. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I would just be like gluing stuff to a piece of paper and being like, here's my logo. You know, like she makes me look at it in so many ways. So together, it's exponential. It's a beautiful, beautiful relationship. And you can see we live it. This is not for show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that is also why I wanted to have you on the show, because I think you guys are the right people to work together and to showcase how it can be done. But would you also say that based on both of your experiences, on Angela's kind of trying to have business partnership with others and not really succeeding with those kind of, I wouldn't say failures, but those pilot testing that you did then, and also Dana making your gallery and really moving from one business into a super creative kind of piece, would you say that you needed these two test phases, or yeah?
Oh yeah, there is nothing wasted. There's nothing wasted.
No, I didn't mean that. Yeah,
no,
I rather meant that. Yeah, to test it out and to see that's not working. I need to take the next step and the next step and the next step.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like everything has been an educational situation, whether I was doing it by myself or I was doing it with Dana, even the we
I knew this. I was gonna bring it up. No, you bring it up. No, you.
So it got really when I was in the middle of this accelerator program and I was looking at all this stuff, and Dana and I had stepped away from the original MVP that we launched, and we were just like, this doesn't feel good anymore. This doesn't feel right. And I didn't have the words for it. So Dana sent me a breakup letter, and it was a breakup letter. We're going to be discussing this.
We have a podcast called Going Commando, and we've got a whole episode lined up for it because this letter is a source of contention.
It is. But even
this
like
turns into a therapy session now. Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah, but I appreciate that. Yeah, no, but we had, so even just in our communications with each other, we have evolved so much. So as friends, as going into being like, 70-30 business partners, I'm just involved in this aspect too. I'm fully involved and this is what it means. And it's like that point in time was like, we had the biggest suggestion I could give to people working with a business partner is to have conversations almost weekly about what are your needs? What do you want in life? Not just in this business, but what do you want in life? And Dana and I, through this breakup letter, had to have a come to Jesus. It was a breakup letter.
We're on a break.
Okay, Ross. Still not okay that you slept with somebody. So, but that when we had this come to Jesus, and Dana was like, okay, here is what I want. I want yada, yada, yada. And I was like, okay, all I want is the freedom to create. So how can we help each other get to that space where we are getting everything that we want? What does it mean? And honestly, I saw, because like she was so upset. She's my friend, of course, right? And she was so brought to a place where she had to write this vicious breakup letter, but I saw my friend hurting. I saw her hurting, and I made a vow to not let that happen again, for me not to be the cause of that anymore. There was no reason. That doesn't feel good. So really it's having like those heart to hearts, those going out to dinners or virtual coffees, just really getting to know each other, because that's the business as the thing. The skills are the thing, but the humanity of the relationship is
100%.
So important to nurture.
100%.
Wait, and I hear this with you, but asking the question anyways, were you ever afraid of losing the friendship by becoming business partners?
Can I chime in on that?
Go for it. I'd love your perspective.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm glad you asked, because now I want to talk about the letter.
I forgot that line.
I personally was never afraid of losing the friendship, because, everything that Angela said, except for the letter being vicious, but everything that Angela said is true. But there is something important about understanding what you bring to the table. Skill set, what are I would tell Angela, cater to my strengths, and then the humanity of it all, like, what do you want out of this, and then see if you're in alignment. And I went for a walk this morning, and what's been coming to me for the last week, but specifically this morning, was appreciation. And at the end of the day, other than getting our needs met, all we really want is to be appreciated. And that's the thing that Angela and I have so strongly. It's really, really a special relationship. We see each other for our strengths and our weaknesses, and we appreciate one another, and we uplift each other. And it's probably one of the, other than my schmoopy, who I talk about all the time, my husband Rob, it is really one of the most special, probably the most special relationship I've ever had, because we both appreciate one another. We both uplift each other. And when it was imbalanced, because there were areas where that was imbalanced, that's where so you have this awareness of the imbalance, you have a willingness to communicate and to do something about it, and then you overcome it. And that's the mark of a healthy relationship, when both partners are willing to do that. And that's why we sit here and joke about this breakup letter and laugh about those things, because the relationship is healthy enough to do so.
Exactly. And you're taking the time to talk about these things and what's really important to you and what's really important to Angela. And I think that is probably what so when the business partnership I'm having in my head, we were actually the three of us, and there was always one person who were a little bit, let's say, not so kind of like into the idea, and then the other two were really into the idea. And I think we could really have made it happen if we would have all been on the same level. But since we never really got to the same level, it was always a struggle, and we were so stuck in this whole analysis and not even daring to test out the idea. Actually,
it's hard with three. Three is tough, even with kids. When like they're friends, somebody's always getting boxed out. And Angela and I attempted three. We attempted groups. We tried to bring all these people. And when I first opened the gallery, I did the same thing. And that's when I was like, I'm better off working alone, because there's too many cooks. I mean, that expression comes from somewhere. And when Angela and I were like, all right, it's just you and me, kid. Even like there's been talk about potentially other people. I'm like, no, it's you and me. And that is it. Because we know we work well together. It's proven over and over and over. So find somebody that you align with and stick with it.
Yeah. Josephine, how is it going as a solopreneur now for you? Do you feel like you're lacking in having a partner?
Yeah, so I had a business manager, a contractor that I worked with for almost 2 years. And then she broke up with me, and I was in such a hole. Yeah, she got an amazing offer from another. I was her client, but we were still like business partner. She was a business strategist, and I was, when she kind of broke up with me, and we say, we will stay in touch and everything, but it still kind of totally threw me off my orbit a little bit. I totally kind of like fell into a hole. And it's hard to get out of there. It's hard to get out of that hole when you feel a little bit like, oh, maybe she doesn't believe in me any longer. What am I going to do now, etc. And then I actually reached out to someone else that I'm working together with now, also in a business partnership. We have our businesses, but we support each other. We kind of I help people to create an offer, and she helped people to really, take that offer and scale it by selling it through workshops and events. It's Angela Sandust. And what we do now is we chat to each other, we talk to each other. It's like we're not as close business partners as I would say that you guys probably. We don't have one business. We have two separate businesses, but we really support each other. We spoke yesterday about an offer that we're going to kick off later this autumn together. It's like having someone who understands what you're going through, who you can laugh together with when you have had a bad call, or you get a strange DM from someone, or when people get into your Facebook group and you're like, don't want to let that person in, things like that. it's like people that you can really talk to who gets it. I think that is super important.
Yeah. I'm really excited for your guys' workshop next week. We're starting, or 2 weeks? 2 weeks?
Yeah, since this is going to be sent after the workshop, that is over then.
Oh, okay. Okay. So the workshop was amazing.
Awesome. We loved it. Yay.
No, but I am really excited, and for future workshops, people should definitely take a stab at it, because I'm excited to learn from you guys for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's so the thing we're bringing is, I've tried the different types of workshops. I've done 5 days, I've done 3 days, I've done 4 days. And I just noticed, the energy level, because you have to have a huge energy level. And if you're the one who pull everything, it's really hard to be on that energy level for it's because it's not only the workshop, it's where you invite people to the workshop. It is also kind of like afterwards inviting people to join your offer after the workshop. So you need to be on such a high energy level the whole time. And having someone to say, hey, have you done this? Oh, I just sent DMs she just sent me before. I've sent DMs to 40 people now. It's like having this, someone's shoulder to lean on a little bit. That's super, super helpful.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I couldn't do it without you, Dane.
Back at you, kid.
But if we now talk to people who they don't have a sorority sister, they don't have someone they know since 1990s, and they still want, I need that business partner. What would be your best advice? What do you think they should start?
Honestly, with their network. It's I don't think, you can tell a lot about a person by how they treat a waiter or an Uber driver, how they kind like if you don't have somebody who's like in your immediate sphere of influence that is somebody that you tap into already and know how they think. I would find the people that have that thing that you really need the help with, and then observe them from afar. Do a little assessing on them and see how they interact with other people, because that's going to say a lot. How do they comment? How do they post? Do they only do like the first 5 comments if they did some post and then forget the rest, because they're not engaged, like how do they act in alignment with how you act, and then try to build a relationship with them. It's not like this is almost more intense than a marriage, right? Because especially if it's one business that you're bringing the person into, like Dana and I, if we broke up, there's assets and things that have to like be figured out,
Yeah.
My husband is in a business partnership with somebody he can't stand, but they're so dumb. They have no agreements. They're nothing, but that's a whole other story. Like he is in bed with this guy. The way you have it with Angela is that you guys have your own businesses, so you collaborate, which is a really safe way of doing it, because then there's no collateral damage if it doesn't work out. So I would highly suggest you have the long game for somebody that you want to bring into your business, but you can start with collaborating as separate entities and supporting each other and growing each other's businesses. That's probably the best way. It's like try before you buy.
Yeah. That's a really good piece of advice. Can I add another little piece as a human being? So what Angela said was perfect. See who you align with. I have to, because it's the empowerment part of it. But like, the more you work on yourself as a human being and become more empowered, the more you're going to align with the people that you want. So if you want this type of business partner, then you got to be this type of business partner. And so as you're doing that, just be the best human you can be, and they will show up. Angela is on point with, just watch the community and watch while you're networking. But I believe that the right people show up at the right time, and they show up when you're ready. And again, you get what you want when you are that.
Yeah. And you actually said, Angela, the last time you and I spoke, or when we were in the same community together, you said, I attracted the wrong people. And I think it goes hand in hand with what Dana is saying too, because if we sit here and we complain and we moan and whatever it might be, those are the people that come to us too. I've also attracted the wrong people. I sat in a workshop, similar style of workshop that I'm doing now, talking to people. I suddenly realized I don't want to work with these people. That it's really difficult to also invite them to join you, because you don't want to be there. You don't want to be there. And I think that is also really important when it comes to business partnerships, independently if it's like the same company or if it's a contractor or someone that, like me and Angela, we're having like this, I would say joint venture rather now. It's like, are we aligned? Do we want the same thing? And as you said also, Angela and Dana too, both the core values that we carry with us. What is really important for us? What is it that we want?
Yeah.
Big time.
Don't be an asshole. That's our main one.
That's Angel's mantra. But even marriages, you look at marriages and people get together, and if one person is evolving and the other one isn't, then sometimes there's dissonance in that marriage, can separate, but people grow at different times. So Angela and I, since Angela and I have been together, we are both, again, tending to ourselves. We're committed to ourselves as humans. And so our evolution goes like this, and the business does its evolution as we're evolving. So as long as she and I are committed to ourselves and committed to each other in our personal foundation or personal evolution, then the business in kind will grow itself. It's really something.
Yeah.
But what would you then say because you've tested this too, what would you say to someone who doesn't dare to start their business because they don't have the right business partner? What type of advice would you tell them?
Don't wait. I mean, so I am 13 years sober, and I always throw out my AA-isms that we always get. And one of them was, don't put your happiness in someone else's pocket.
Mhm.
So you just have to, if it's something that is just pulling at you and you really, really want to do it,
Do it.
just start. Just start. And the right pieces, the right situations will fall into place if it's the right thing for you. If you start and you're hitting wall after wall, look at that. It's not right for you at that time, maybe, or whatever it might be. But to start a business, it's the same thing. Like, I think it's the same thing all over the world. Anybody can get an LLC or an S corp or whatever it is. There's all these online things. Get a URL, just start, put pen to paper. And
Yeah.
I had written in this little book, this paragraph that I told to Dana in this intuitive guidance session, this idea for this business. It was literally this, like a little paragraph. And she was like, you got to do that. That's gold. And that's all I needed. I was on my own. I still had my 6-figure job. I still had everything going on, but I immediately incorporated. I set up a URL. I'm a designer, so I made my logo. I wrote out the business model, just all on, because it felt good and it was fun. So follow the fun and don't rely on anybody, and the people you need will show up.
Definitely. And be flexible, because if you're following that feeling in your gut and you're following the fun, right? And not fun like party fun, but you're following what feels good, it is going to take you where you need to go. So try not to be so attached so much to the initial thought. If Angela was so attached to that initial blurb that she had written down, we wouldn't be here right now. She was willing to pivot. For me, it was picking up a paintbrush. It was exercising my creativity, which turned into art festivals and commissions and shows and a gallery. And now I'm more of a writer than a painter, because my creativity blossomed in the way that it did. So yeah, follow the fun. They will show up, and keep following that trail. Next thing you know, you're going to be sitting here with you.
Yeah. And just to say, when I quit my job in 2019, I was like, oh, I want to write, I want to have a podcast, but I didn't dare to, right? And if I would have thought some years ahead of time that I would be sitting here with you guys all over the other side of the pond, if you want to put it like that, talking to you guys, I wouldn't even have thought that it was possible. But it's like, just to dare to take one little step. You don't need to figure out that, in 3 years time, I will have a show called Josephine Meets. You don't need that information. That will come if, as you say, the time is right. So if people want to learn more about you, what you guys are doing, how can they best connect with you guys?
So both of us are on LinkedIn. I'm sure we'll be in the notes or
Show
whatever.
Notes.
But
Dana
and I have a podcast called Going Commando with Angela and Dana. We're on YouTube, Spotify, wherever your favorite podcast streaming platform is. If you follow me on LinkedIn, we have I just hit 1,000 followers and made a whole stupid thing about it. I hope the satire was reached, because I know it's not a big deal. But every morning at 9:00, we post a 1-minute reel. So it's a little nug, but sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're, Dana's got this brilliant wisdom, and so that's just something that we offer on LinkedIn. It's really fun. And if you go to uniquelyphenom.com, that is our business model, and it's all about Core to Credo. And we not only help large organizations, we also help individual and small businesses to give you whatever you need, whether it's empowerment or if it's branding and marketing. That's our shtick, from the outside in and inside out.
Yeah.
That was what Dana added to. Do you want to add anything, Dana?
Oh no, I think
that
profundity spoke for itself. Yeah,
that's what she said.
Thank you both so much for being on my show. And if I would take something away from this, it's been the follow the fun and trusting your gut. And the circles that Dana spoke about, add those pieces to your business independently, if it's a business partner or contract or whatever it might be. Follow the fun and connect with Angela and Dana. And if you haven't subscribed to my show yet, do so. because there will be lots and lots of inspiration and more fun. And I would love to hear more about what you do and what you guys do. So see you soon again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.